Well, you know, people worry about what if everybody can do the same things? What if everybody can, what if it's in the hands of the consumer? Well, you know, that raises the level of like the quality of art. And wasn't there a time when everybody had a paintbrush and some paint? Anybody could paint. I don't think it's all about what tools are available to people ever. It's really what do you do with them, and I think that's why my major stress with anybody that I'm working with my crew, it's about the art of it. You know, people can say, well, you know, you got robots and it's just blowing stuff, and no, it's not quite that. I mean, it's a little more esoteric than that, because there is a lot of thought and design given to composition, balance, where your eye is in watching a shot, and where your eye is looking, what's the point of that shot versus what you cut into next, and all these things that are so inherent to cinema. I mean, we are very conscious of those artistic choices, color, tone, you know, the contrast, all that. It's probably a lot more esoteric than people realize, because I spend more time worrying about color and saturation and contrast and the sharpness of the image than maybe a lot of folks realize. And because, well, that's another issue with 3D. You're going through a lot of different things. No matter what, you're going through several lenses, and then the audience sits and wears glasses that does an actual final filtering. So we actually added a secret sauce to keep our images as sharp as possible, because everything goes less sharp. No matter what, in a 3D film, it will be less sharp than what you'll see in a 2D film. So, you know, it's all these issues that we as people that create things, we create an image and we want it to appear to you as good as possible. I would say for me in my career, Transformers is the first film or series of films where I finally got to a point where with the group, with the team that I had, I've been working with a lot of these guys and gals for a few years, and they know that I come from I was a cinematographer before I got into visual effects. So I'm used to moving a light and putting a flag and a cutter to block the light and that sort of thing. And I was trying to institute kind of a new way of thinking on Transformers, where I remember on the first Transformers, we had a daytime exterior shot on Wilshire Boulevard, or somewhere downtown LA, and we have a plate. Now we're going to put a robot into that plate. I think it was Optimus Prime. And I wanted him to come out of a key light on one side of his head. That means bright light left, dark right on my right. And as he moves forward, I said, this is a big guy. When he takes a step, he's moving maybe 10 feet. As he steps forward, he's going to move out of this light and come into a new light. And then when he bends down to Sam, he's going to come out of this light and go into a new light, because he's that big. And moving in and out of those lights is going to indicate to the audience the distance of travel, because that's what, if you're on set, that's what you really see. So the first comment I got was, well, wait a minute, the sun's not on that side, and it's not going, and it doesn't match, and that's not the way the background is. So I said, whoa, wait, flag on the play. We're trying to emulate what would really be done on a set. If the director of photography doesn't like what the light looks like on the actor, if the our robot didn't happen to be there at the time we were shooting the background. But if you have an actor there and you don't like the light, you block the light. You relight with a new light, put a new key light in. You choose what it's going to be. That's part of the artistry and the dramatic lighting that's always used in cinema. That's what it's all about. That's what glamour photography is all about. You don't just necessarily go with the existing lighting. And so everybody goes, huh, it's okay to not copy what's in the background. Okay. So this instituted a whole series of changes in just the thinking of all the folks on my shows. And I've always been an advocate of quit worrying about, shaders is how you tweak with these things. The biggest problem is CG, computer lights, don't exactly do what real lights do. So we started actually having classes where just groups of us would go down under this. We've got a shooting stage where people that have learned everything in computer graphics could go down there and have a little model, a car or what have you, and put a light up. And you'd be over by camera and you see, how low you've got to get that before you have a glint on the hood. And then you put a little cutter in there, or a net, or a shadow, and you do all these different things. You go, then it's like light bulbs go off, dozens, and everybody, now there's this big advent in our company right now to make it just as user-friendly as possible, just as much as possible, copy what is done on set, even to the point where, and I've got to give credit to Michael Bay too, because he's got a really good sense what things should look like. He's shot real all his life, and so he knows what a glint looks like on the hood of a car, and so we've had to. It's been no small task just to copy what happens in the real world, but people are at least observing and looking and seeing and saying, you know what, I don't quite have this right. I'm going to go a little longer on this, and now we're at a point where we do reflector shiny boards. We do all these things, and everybody in the room that used to be completely computer graphics, now it's like a new language. You know what's great for me, David, now is that it used to be that we were very separate from the main unit, the main shooting group. And I think we've all seen a big change in Hollywood where, well, there's so many effects films, but also the marriage of disciplines has gotten closer and closer. And you work, if you don't see eye to eye with the director of photography, the director, and very importantly, the designer of the picture that comes up with the look and is in control of the art department and all the kind of the film, basically creating the film look. What the designer sets that tone, and you've got to be talking apples and apples with all these guys. And I think what happens now is people on the live action side know more about what we can do, and we know how they can help us. They know that they don't have to build every piece of set, that they can supplement with, put some blue screen up or what have you. They don't have to build every part. And so as far as just the production side of filmmaking, what's really great now is there's a lot more collaboration all the way across the board. That's certainly been the case of Transformers. I think so. Yes, I do. It still depends on who you're working with. It depends on. I think there's certain people in the industry now that work on the live action side that actually maybe did a lot of visual effects, and so they've learned a lot about what we do. There was a time not that long ago where most of the people on set really didn't understand what we were doing, or why we needed anything, or why do you have to measure everything, or why do you have to take pictures of all the set for every shot? What is this? But now, and not that everybody does, but the key players on the set do know what we're doing and why. And that's a help, because then if we need something, there's an understanding why we are asking for what we do. I think, well, it's pretty funny, Shia LaBeouf thinks, I always see Shia, he's a great guy. And I go, Shia, you did a great job. Scott, it's just the robots. They're the only ones that anybody's looking at. It's really interesting, though, because it's a symbiotic relationship where I need them and they need us, and that's the way it works, and isn't that the way it should be? And we try very, very, very hard to make sure that the work that we do fits in with, especially a performance. And again, it's not technical stuff, it's all about the artistry. And that's what I am most concerned about, because I want our work to be every bit as good or as good as we can make it, so that we have to hold our end up. Especially, we don't have cute furry animals that are speaking to the actor. We've got big metal galoots, and the big problem with what we've been doing is how do we show emotion? And in certain cases, we've had to rebuild faces on robots just so we had more parts to show emotion, just so we can have a performance that is equal to what the actor is doing.